Greetings. Last December holiday was eventful for me. Not because I was having a wonderful vacation, or taking a nice relaxing break, like I'd ever. No, instead I, like a sane person, spent all of December making an Undertale fangame for an AU most casual fans despise, or at least find cringe, in the style of a 2008 RPG Maker game that everyone seems to know about, but very few have actually played. Oh, and it was released in the same studio as Green Sands. Let's talk about it. Hiya, the name's Blaze. Yes, this is my pinch tuber, and welcome to the story of Sans game. So it all starts in November. I had just finished Off, which is free, and you should play if you haven't. And like everyone else I know who's played it, I grew obsessed. Creator Mortis Ghost may find the relationship between the batter and his puppeteer to be rather clunky in the face of more contemporary works. You know, your one-shots, Undertales and Stars and Times, and so on, all play fast and loose with meta-narratives and marionettes. But despite that, I still think there's something so incredibly unique about Off. It's so clearly saying something. What that something is what you make of it. I believe Off is about many things. It's about the flaws in capitalist hierarchies, it's about the absurdity of work culture, but most of all, it's about the futility of player agency against a predetermined narrative course, the completionism that comes with certain gamers, and the capability for a meta-narrative to wield that mentality for destructive purposes. With all that on my mind, I naturally went, but what if I made it about Sans Undertale? And that's where we get to the infamous Undertale AU, Dusttale. Now, unlike all the sane people in the room, I love this AU to death. Not for the edgy battles, not for the glorified hard modes become in the modern day, and definitely not for the fan games of variable quality. These ones are cool though. No, I love it for something else. Sans' position in Undertale is one of utter nihilism, so Dusttale asks the oft-asked question, what happens when Sans has remember powers? How he gains them is never officially explained by the original S-Blog, and honestly I think it's for the better. It's not a mystery important to the rest of the story, it's what comes next. Unlike Last Breath or whatever else will have you think, Dusttale Sans doesn't just go 0 to 100. No. This is Sans, I will let my brother and everyone around me die before it actually get off my ass to do something, the skeleton. The player's repeated murder rounds do slowly chip away at him though, and he eventually gets resolved to try a different approach. Warn the others, trap the player, and so on. Not that it matters, his loss is all but guaranteed. His changes in behavior only further motivate the player, after exhausting himself of all other ideas, and moreover, his mind. He's pushed to cross a moral boundary he thought he would never have to. The one thing he hasn't tried yet. He kills a monster. Maybe the EXP will help. It doesn't. So he does it again, though instead of just one, it grows to 2, 3, 4, and more. Still loses, but something about his mentality shifts. At this point, the bloodshed would have been in vain if he didn't actually win. So for their and all of Monsterkind's sake, he does it again. The consequences of sunk cost fallacy eventually catch up to Sans. Now, whenever the timeline resets, he follows in the player's footsteps. To get as much EXP as possible. He's convinced himself it's the right thing to do, that it's fun even. He grows to enjoy his game with the player. And that is what I want to tap into. The endless iteration brought by the reset time loop, the shared mentality between Sans and the player. That's what makes Dusttale to me. Admittedly, modern takes on Dusttale like Mortimer Buyer, which is the source of this music right now, tap into Sans' other character traits really well. In games like Undertale The Reckoning, attempt to rationalize how a Dust character can be pushed to such limits. But I don't know of any that taps into what I'm interested in. I only know of TD Dusttale letting you take control of Sans, and Evan's Dusttale narratively gesturing to the idea of an endless cycle, though the gameplay doesn't commit to it with Sans remaining a static character through resets. Fine then, I know what I'm doing this December holiday. I'm going to make a game where the player controls Sans in a Majora's Mask style time loop, which will subject them to an endless cycle of gameplay. Combat will take the form of standard turn-based battles, because the act of playing as Sans shouldn't be that exciting. As for why Sans is doing all this, because you did. Sans' actions are the same as yours. The actions performed to the player bases an endless murder route Sans has been subjected to, and the actions performed here when controlling Sans. There was no one to blame for the game state but yourself. An ironic twist on Undertale's murder route, with a Dusttale spin to it, and an off coat of paint. Caveat, technically this idea didn't start after Off. I came up with this gameplay concept of Majora's Mask based Undertale fan game for a different project, though its story execution is much different, its remains are split into two. The gameplay for this project and the story which will be unveiled another day. but for the sake of the video, let's pretend the idea was forged here instead. So, on November 25th, 2025, I started development on Dusttale: The Cycles. It's a placeholder name for now. I know it sucks. The idea is simple. Starting at 6 AM, you take control of Sans and wander around Snowdin Town. Each NPC has a schedule they follow, and the player's goal is to eliminate them all before time runs out. Learning the schedule leads to being able to plan out runs better, making for a highly replayable formula. You'll only have 12 in-game hours before the clock marks the end of your run, and thus, the anomaly's arrival. The anomaly and Sans fight, but you, the puppeteer, get a choice. Do you use the character you've grown all game long for this impossible battle? Or do you face off against the monster you've made? Now, design plans are cool and all, but it means nothing if you don't actually make anything. So I did. The easiest thing to start with was the battle scene. The UI here is a mixture between the off remake and 2008 original. I like the remake's button selection style, but I much prefer the 4:3 aspect ratio, as well as having static UI elements. I also drew up some quick monster designs. Grillby was the first monster to get a fight into the engine. Speaking of, Off has 4 elements: meat, metal, smoke, and plastic. But they rarely come into play during attacks. I decided to borrow the press turn system from Shin Megami Tensei, better known as the mainline series Persona spun off from, also known as a series whose fans keep begging the Persona fans to try out. They sure do try. The press turn system itself is rather simple. You hit a weakness or crit, you get a bonus turn. You can only get as many bonus turns as you do party members, and all the same rules apply to enemies. There's more nuances to it than that, but those are all the mechanics for press turn I actually implemented into the game. But who's that in the corner, you ask? Well, that's beloved Undertale character Brother, of course. Alright, so in Dusttale, Sans' inner voice and self-conscience emerges in the form of a character known as Phantom Papyrus. Pay homage to him, Brother acts as your party crew, unique attacks and stats. He also never physically shows up, any healing items used applies to both skeletons, his name will be corrupt when you fight the actual Papyrus, and in the final battle he and Sans' movesets will be condensed for one boss fight against Sans. He's totally real. But, because of Brother, the skill Sans has in normal gameplay can be split between the 2 party members, creating interesting scenarios. Do I heal with Sans and bet on Brother getting a crit so Sans can use a plastic attack the enemy is weak to? Or do I start with a plastic attack, heal with Brother, and restore SP on Sans' bonus turn instead? As for the actual skills you'll get, you'll have one of each element. Tired Swing is a metal attack with low damage but high crit rate. You'll get more bonus turns this way, but it's too weak to consider as a proper offensive option. Vertigo is a well-rounded plastic attack with no caveats. High Jump, in reference to Papyrus' ability to just do that in Undertale, is a weak smoke attack. Bone Slam is a multi-hit physical attack which has no elemental properties but has a decent crit rate. And finally, SP Blast, which is the Gaster Blaster meat attack. Although it's tied to Brother instead of Sans in reference to Papyrus' never seen but probably blaster-shaped special attack. Both party members also get a basic strike and ability to restore SP with Rest. However, Rest will immediately end the round, cancel any bonus turns left, and only restore a small amount of SP. Items are vastly superior for SP gain. What about outside of battles? You know, half the game? As of now, it's just a glorified tile map, but look here. Snowdin's layout retains the key points. The ruins door, the forest, the bridge that's actually a rock, Grillby's, Sans and Papyrus' house, and the bakery. It's all been shuffled, though. Undertale's extremely linear hallways would not make for good crisscrossing across the map, so Grillby's is now the northernmost point, the forest the easternmost, the ruins door is outside the forest instead of through it, and Lower Snowdin from the Anniversary Stream is down south. I made the tile set itself bare bones and undetailed, hard black outlines and bright colors akin to off zones, except it's still more detailed than those. You can make out the rock patterns, buildings aren't completely barren, and you have trees! Trees! But with that, it's day 5 and progress is looking good. Let's call it a night. Hey, what's that? A phone call? No. A Discord call? But nobody calls me on Discord, unless... So this is the creator of Green Sands and my boss, but instead of throwing me back into the coding dungeon, he was there to try out a mantle realm I had found back in October 31st, 2025. While rummaging through old CD romance listings, I stumbled across a new place to source questionably obtained video games, the Hometown Vintage Games Library. One of the games for the Giga Drive catches my eye though. Mantle. Hey, isn't that legendary game designer Masa Ito's first credited game? The Blazers like based off of Gerson Boom's Lord of the Hammer? I downloaded the archive, but it came with warnings. It wasn't the original game. Rooms that shouldn't be there were new glitches compared to the original. The ROM was inextricably tied to the emulator it comes with. The save file that couldn't be deleted came with the archive too. I gave the playfax guide attached to the file a glance. Corrupted too. Couldn't find the author online anywhere either. All good signs. So I played it, and I met them. So me and Goings had our fun, but afterwards we started to yap about our projects. He went on about Dust-X, Green Sands, Undertale S Corridor, while I brought up the Dusttale project I've been working on. I'll let him explain what happened next.
Hey, it's me, Goings, the other person who helped to make this funny little project. You may know me for being one of the owners of Dust-X, Retro Edition. I also write for a bunch of other fan projects, and I also own one popular project that I'm forgetting the name of. But anyways, I helped direct this game because Blaze came up to me one day to show off this cool, funky project inspired by Off, and I threw a few ideas out there, and we went, okay, cool, you know what, let's make this a thing. Basically, I took what Blaze was already making and contextualized it and wrote the story of the game, which you may be asking, you didn't write Dusttale, and I'll remind you that this is Sans game, you buffoon. Okay, jokes aside, I did try to put a funny little spin on Dusttale because there's a lot of potential to write Dusttale's story from Sand's perspective, and I tried to do the most I could with what was actually there because the game looks like that. So because the game is directly inspired by Off, the enemies you encounter look all fucked up and weird, which is due to Santa's perception of the world now being skewed and messed up, so that's why they're called residents, or more specific cases, the captain or the bearded man. They're kind of like boiled down in a way. That's why the game is actually called Sans Game, because that's the most bare bones title we could give it. I remember in like the writing VC that we did, I specifically remember going like, okay, yeah, that could work for now, but if we think of a better name later, we'll just go with that. And that never happened. So, Sans Game. Outside of Anomaly, Papyrus is the only person not to get the bare bones mischaracterization treatment. That's because he's the best character, so you can't really blame him. But he still doesn't quite like avoid getting fully mischaracterized by Sans, which is very much shown through his dialogue. And as for Anomaly, I can't really talk about them since that was mostly Blaze. But I could say, you know, I could talk about the dialogue since I wrote that, but there's not much to really say since everything I could say about Anomaly applies to Sans and more. So go fucking play the game yourself. One of the very first ideas I had when I agreed to help out with this project is to make it a loop and not give it a definitive end because, ooh, Dusttale, resets. Now, you could play it again and not kill anyone, but there's not like a pacifist route or any way to avoid the repeated massacre. So an interesting idea I had was to have Sans sort of like, after so long of being in this time loop, things just sort of become meaningless to him, and he ultimately just gives in and is now an equal part of the repeated massacre. And you can see that with how Sans and Anomaly's dialogue sort of echo each other. They both have their own little smiley faces too. That was a thing I wanted to do. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I'll do better next time if you face him after doing jack shit or sleeping through the whole day. I think Sans also not falling victim to the world around and becoming flat and boring is interesting because it removes his sense of justice and any really redeeming character trait. So all he has is now this game with what is now his only true friend, and I think that's a very interesting take on Dusttale. While I do have experience writing Dust characters from the perspective of the killer, again, Dust-X, shoutouts to me, this is a more abstract and subtle way about how the story was told, which is a fun experiment, and I'm very glad that Blaze hit me up and we made this happen. So, thank you!
So from this VC, the story was really solidified. The game was renamed to Sans Game, and things really gained direction. My original, far more ambitious plan had stuff like Carol running a holiday and at the top of Snowdon, following Papyrus into the forest for an alternate route. But we cut it down just to the bare essentials. This was going to be a gift-miss game, so the events would follow suit. And it would be released under Awesome Games, the studio behind projects like Green Sands, Dust-X, and Retro Edition. Yes, I'm using the brand name here like I'm jingling keys to an attention-burned Cocomelon baby. Green Sands, you want to see Green Sands? Here. Sorry, Dusttales fans, you get nothing. Where were we? Alright, music time. So, I kinda suck ass at music. I can make decent covers of existing songs, but the second I actually have to do something original, my brain puts together the nastiest harmonies and rhythms you'll ever hear. So Goinks using his strings over at the Roblox game, roped in Rada on our escapade. Rada does a bunch of cool music for ULC and Green Sands, which you should totally check out, but for Sans game, we asked him to make the title track. A simple melody with a key change before looping. And the battle theme, which we'll get back to because while that was being made, I was filling notebooks with monsters. Let's take Greater Dog as an example. I'd first doodle out the design on paper, then scan it with my phone, and then clean up the line art, remove any grid lines, and so on. Then we scale it down, a lot. This one is 2/3 of the original resolution. Now we remove the background. We don't like a fuzzy edge though, so we create a new layer and apply a mask on all transparent bits, before increasing its selection size by 1 pixel. Now we make that mask a multiply layer of this dark blue at 80% opacity, which both darkens those bits while giving them a new bluish color. Now we're going to merge everything into one layer and posterize the image. This is what it looks like with extreme posterization. So I like to set it around level 12. This heightens any noise or weird tints of color. I love that the blue and yellow light that sneaks into these scans is made super obvious by this. You now know how to make sprites in this style. Run wild, artists. Now Greater Dog can't hog all the focus. Let's rapid fire through some monsters. Asgore, or the Bearded Man, is absolutely the star of the show aside from Papyrus. He's dressed up as Santa, like the winter alarm clock dialogue has described. And I forgot to give him horns. I really hope nobody knows because oh my god, this is an embarrassment to only realize months after the game released. Lesser Dog gets an elongated neck that twists towards Sans. It's partially based off of Off's Bird Nelson. I think you can see the resemblance. Actually, the burn are the whole reason. The damage effect is tinted a bluish black ink color. Sans' perception of these monsters has reduced them all to sketchy, doodly representations. Thus, they spill out a black, viscous substance similar to the burnt. I call it ink because it has a subtle blue tint, like most pens, and it fits the whole doodly aesthetic, but it's whatever you make of it, really. Undine, or the Captain, is a fun one. She gets her armor design and takes a more defensive pose. In battle, she also gets the move, Just Zenith. 6 shots of pure justice. Yeah, I can't help but make an Undertale Yellow reference in 2026. For all my issues with it, Yellow is still what brought me back down the fangame rabbit hole after thinking I'd left it years ago. Great, we now have all these monsters, but how's that battle theme coming along? This is great. It's conflicted and sorrowful, but Sans game doesn't really need that. If the music acknowledged Sans' inner conflict, that ends up saying things about him that I really didn't think fit with the whole vibe of the game. He shouldn't see battles as emotional obstacles anymore. He's been through it dozens upon dozens of times. It's just all blur and numb. And if he loses to one of them, he just gets back up and does it all over again. The emotion here colored the battles in a way they shouldn't. Rada was busy and I was unsure what to do. I wasn't about to rope in another musician to do a track I was unsure how to handle in the first place, so I tried my own hand at it. Scrapped Battle A. Sans sees the world as a game now, doesn't he? Maybe if he made the battle theme overly heroic, or JRPG feeling, it would work? Never mind. Scrapped Battle B. Okay, let's cut it up and sample it, a la Off's Pepper Steak. No, this sucks ass too. So those melodies from Rada's tracks are admittedly nice, maybe I could remix them into something. Hey, is this turning out good actually? It's running into the same issues as Godot's track though, too much conflict. But I suddenly got a sense for where this could go instead. The Papyrus fight. It was planned from the start to be one of the few battles actually in color, where Brother becomes corrupted and Sans is forced to kill Papyrus or die trying. Sans sees Papyrus as not understanding him, as adversarial, as confrontational. But this is Papyrus. Is what Sans hearing really the truth? That confliction is why this track ended up here. I don't have anywhere else to put this, but I got my friend George Lal to voice Papyrus. Go check out his work. While we're on the topic of music, there's 2 tracks which I elected to take from other sources instead. When the clock strikes 5 p.m., the music shifts. The final hour. I use this track from the Off remake because it plays with the clock ticking in an interesting, almost percussive way. Perfect for those final minutes. And like Majora's Mask, I wanted the weight of the hour to dawn upon the player. So in the last 30 minutes of the hour, the bells of the last corridor ring as the screen shrinks, over and over until... And there, the player must pick their marionette. The human vessel or the monster vessel. I haven't designed anything for the fight as a monster vessel just yet, so let's pick the human vessel. You control the anomaly. Not a Kara, not a Frisk, the anomaly. You get 2000 HP and a whole heap of skills. The first 6 are based upon the human soul traits on their items. Patient Grip for Patience's toy knife. Brave Bash for Bravery's tough glove. Indigo Waltz for Integrity's dusty tutu. Kind Gift for Kindness's stained apron. Persevere for the torn notebook. And the aforementioned Just Zenith for Justice's toy gun. Sans, whose gorgeously disgusting design here was drawn by a good friend of mine, Bone Gores, would only be as strong as you make him. Ilian, it's just you and him. Hence the song chosen, Just Us, also from the Off remake. We're still missing the most important songs of the game, though. For Snowdin's theme, I knew it couldn't just be a remix of Undertale Snowdin's songs. The rest of the game avoids familiar motifs. So I asked another good friend, Unified, to create a demo track for Town. It came out really nice, but like many of the other people who worked on this project, she was doomed to a fate of busyness this December holiday. So I asked her to send over the MIDI, and I would finish it myself. I gave it some alternative progression, slapped on some sleigh bells, clarinets, and transcribed the melodies that just came into my head. If I've unintentionally plagiarized some JRPG town theme I've heard before, no I didn't. Happy accidents. And it's so... fake happy. How else am I supposed to describe this? Then I was struck with a stroke of genius. What if the game had no battle theme? He would senselessly murder family, friends, children, Santa himself, all to this fake happy giftness song. The effect was chilling. It was absolutely the right call. Okay, it's mere days until actual real-life Giftmas Day, and the town theme's just been finished. A bunch of balancing needs to be done, and oh wait, you haven't seen the anomaly fight, have you? I drew up this design during a particularly boring last day of class for the term. A masked human with wonky eye sockets, just like Papyrus, and a toothy grin like Sans. Sans sees the anomaly like the only important people left in the world. Or maybe the anomaly designs their mask after the only people they care about in this world. Either way, when you break their mask, screen goes black, and their sprite turns into this corrupted, mixed mess. The heart on their sweater is crossed out. The player's soul is with sands after all, and beneath the mask is nothing but endless black. Originally, I was thinking it could be a zombie face akin to those level 20 wrist designs that were making the rounds last year, but this Green Mountain-inspired void works so much better. My intention with the anomaly as a whole was to represent the fandom's collective attachment to Sans. They've reduced the game to nothing but Sans. Sans is the only reason they play it in the first place. And like the fandom, they live for the thrill of battle. They want Sans to push them to their limits. They want to push Sans to his just the same. Their reaction to how the battle ends is the same regardless of if they lose or win. Their enjoyment of the fight isn't dependent on the outcome at all. And the cruelest part is that Sans feels the exact same way. He too has grown attached to the loop of grinding for EXP, just to have another fight against the anomaly. He too has become another analog for the JRPG player. He too cannot stop himself from indulging in their game. What happens after it all though? Well, whenever Anomaly wins, it's a game over for Sans, so with that, he walks into the light and begins the cycle anew. Win as Sans and you're thrown right back to the start. The only thing Anomaly cares for is their game between Sans and himself, so once it's over, the timeline resets, right back to preparing for their game's next round. They are equal participants in this messed up game of theirs, equally responsible, equally dangerous, and they're obsessed with each other. Everything else in the world melts to serve their love, a wicked attachment which once taken root, refuses to let go. It's Anomaly's love of Sans, Sans' love of the thrill of their games. It's our love for Undertale and how we can't let go. For Dusttale and how a decade later, Murder Sans is still alive and mighty. He just had his anniversary 2 weeks ago. Can you believe it's been 10 years? Wow. With all that, you reopen the game, it's no longer a Sans game. The veneer is over. This is Dusttale, just us, for the only two people who matter in this world. We held some playtesting afterwards. Well, I say we, but Goings just roped in a bunch of his friends into a group chat, sent a mysterious link, and disappeared like it was a creepypasta. I had planned to oversee some playtesters go through it while I avoided interference and took notes, but with the December holiday comes a malaise of burning sickness. All that to say, yeah, I got a fever stomach bug combo during the most crucial point of development. Thanks to Goings though, I had gotten some decent feedback and acted upon what I could in those last few hours. This led to some minor changes like adding enemy health bars, adjusting schedules. Then post-release I was fixing bad maths, balance adjustment, and so on. But I don't think you need to hear about that. This project was fun as hell to work on. People loved it. Shoutouts to Melon God for dedicating a whole video to it, and Ty Van Buskirk for kickstarting the game's speedrunning community, which baffles me. Also, Chris in all caps, who drew all the page art you'll see used across the game's branding. She really did my classroom doodle and Bonegoer's art justice. I probably won't do a video like this again, so don't subscribe. Instead, check out all the people who helped make this video possible. All the music is linked in the description, and most of it is relatively recent songs from the Undertale fandom. This community is truly special. If you're a new gen, haven't checked back in for a while, or only interact with the surface level, check out a SoundCloud AU, pull up a Tumblr comic, or any of the other fan games I mentioned in this video. I implore you. Also check out Rada and Uni's music, Chris and Bonegoer's art, and Awesome Games' other projects. And I swear, the green guy will have his game out someday. He just had his birthday last week, actually. Well, just scroll down to the description and appreciate their stuff. So with that, farewell.